Welcome to WKRP Montrose, a radio station masquerading as a podcast about Montrose, Colorado, and the Western Slope. Recording live from the Clear Network studio.
All right, everybody. Welcome to WKRP Montrose.
Hey, that was a bit harsh. That ended. We got to take care of that, I think, right?
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah. Dennis, do you have it? Dennis, I got a question for you quick.
Yeah.
Do you have deja vu? You know, I get it sometimes, and it's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I swear I've done this before.
Yeah, you have done it before. And
I've done it before, but you know, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with deja vu.
There's some snickering in the background
hang on a
too
minute,
of
hang
our
on a minute.
guests that you guys can't see yet.
No, I'm just gonna pour myself another lovely beer.
Yeah,
From
go ahead and do
Pomona,
that.
as you can see. I do have a little. You see that?
Yeah.
I do have a little PSA.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
If you are the little rat, and I use that term accurately, I think.
Yeah.
That vandalized my favorite brewery, Dennis's favorite brewery, the best brewery in the Western Slope and probably the state. If you did some vandalism in the bathroom, I believe it was the bathroom, knock that shit off, okay? We don't need you vandalizing our places. And if you stole something from there too, you can knock that off too.
Bring it back. Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
Right. You guys you need to behave out there.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no.
It's a community place. It's our place.
And here's the other
That's
thing.
like you taking a piss on my front porch.
I don't like.
Okay.
I hate the word bystander. Right. You need to be an upstander. So if you see something going on, say something.
Say something.
See something, say something.
Right.
Do something. All right, listen, Rob's being really nice. The whole deja vu thing.
I wasn't going to mention it.
No,
I promise
I'm
I wasn't
gonna
going to
mention
mention
it
it this time.
No, I'm going to mention
matter.
it.
Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't
does.
matter.
No, we're gonna
let's.
talk about
You know
it.
what? Why don't we just let the viewers decide what I was talking about?
Okay.
How about that? Call us on 970. I still don't know the number. What is it?
970-316-3162.
I'm worried about saying my phone number.
The easiest number to remember.
No,
in the
but I'm
world.
concerned about saying my phone number, and you better believe I do not want you to call me.
You know what the best part of having to do this for the third time is?
I thought we weren't going to tell them.
Well, is that I'm going to get his name right this time.
Yeah. You're not going to say Steve Baskis. Oops.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. You know, we have to say that because I had a funny joke. So
You had a funny joke.
in a previous incarnation of this episode, Dennis made a tiny little error.
Because instead of saying Baskis, I said
Baskins.
Why did I say that?
Because Dennis is hungry because he missed lunch and he's thinking about ice cream, presumably.
Steve, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for sitting through this the second and third time.
Steve, can you do us a favor, just for continuity?
Yeah.
Well, you had sunglasses on the last time, and I made a funny quip about those too.
I forgot about that.
So
You're making him put his glasses on just so
I
you
can make my
set the
joke.
joke up?
Yeah. What's wrong with that? He's
You're a
laughing. It's
horrible
fine.
person.
I'm an actor.
It's fine.
I'm not really blind.
Yeah.
I just play
Yeah. So,
Okay, well, this is off to a good start.
so is our guest on the camera now?
Yes, he's there.
Okay,
He's
so this is Steve.
there. And
Go on. What is it?
Baskis.
Yeah, Baskis.
Did I say it right?
So Steve
yeah. I got the thumbs up.
is not a giant asshole.
He isn't.
No. Even though he has sunglasses on indoors, typically those people would be giant douches.
Yeah.
Steve, why aren't you one of those giant douches? For that reason. I'm not saying you're not. Why are you not a giant douche? Because you
Let's
have
let everybody else
sunglasses
decide on their own. Okay.
No, I'm blind, and I guess since this is our I don't know how many times now, but
Yeah.
I know I've lost count how many times we've done this, Steve.
no, I'm blind, and I lost my sight serving with the U.S. Army on the ground in Baghdad, Iraq, 17 years ago, May 13th, and but I don't think I explained this last time, but I wear the glasses. It's kind of interesting. It's like a psychological effect. Like it, it does prevent me from running into something and like poking my eye, even though my eyes are gone. but bad blind joke. But
They're all bad from our
all right.
perspective. We're not allowed to say those, Steve.
I like dark humor.
Yeah.
Pun intended. But,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go all night.
Yeah.
But
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Honestly, can we just let's have a quick check where we're actually recording this.
Let's make sure everything's good to go.
But no, is it for you or is it also for other people?
Yeah, it is a visual indicator. I mean, of course, I've met people here in Colorado with my, hanging out in like Telluride or Aspen or Vail or whatever, and I'm at the bar and I'm holding my white cane, and someone comes up to me and goes, "Why do you have a ski pole?" And I'm like,
Are you shitting me?
But you are in douchebag central.
Oh, come on.
Why do you have a ski pole? Yeah, I have one of them, you absolute douche.
and I'm like, this ain't a ski pole, bro.
Yeah.
no, yeah, I'm not joking about that. It's
If
only
there was
happened-
ever a time to like love tap somebody with your ski pole, I think that would be a good opportunity.
I've had people come up to me in the bar. Of course, they're drunk, and they'll go, "You're not really blind, but if you are, I'm sorry." And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro?
As douchebag giveth and douchebag taketh away. I mean, come on.
I just laugh at them, but
Yeah.
But it is a fascinating the treatment, because I had perfect vision. I had better than 20/20 vision, and it was gone in an instant. And like I said, before. Would you like me to?
Yeah, can you take us back to that moment, if it's okay, and of how this happened?
Yes, yeah. Well, I volunteered for a unit that was set up to protect a general officer on the ground in Baghdad, Iraq. It was a 60-month deployment, and I made it halfway through. I deployed from Fort Hood, Texas, and while on the ground, we our first half of our operation was successful. We were returning back to our forward operating base, and we were the lead vehicle. And that day, I was driving. As I recall it, I remember wanting to gun that day, so we flipped a coin, and I won gun, but my buddy is such a horrible driver that my squad leader was like, Baskis, you're gonna drive.
Right.
And the lead driver, in a convoy on the ground in a war zone is really important.
Yep.
You don't want to make wrong turns. But we were cruising down the route, and the enemy set up a shape charge, this explosively foreign penetrator, EFP. It's a more sophisticated IED, improvised explosive device.
Right.
And it detonated. And I had a good friend next to me. His name was Victor Coda. He died from shrapnel and fragments that entered the vehicle and spewed the interior cabin. And I was peppered in both my arms, legs, my neck, and my head. And I basically was knocked unconscious and lost all my sight almost instantaneously. My team rescued me, saved my life. They put me in a bird after escorting me to a safe place where the Blackhawks could land. And I was ferried to a number of places within like 24 hours. And then within 72 hours, I was back in the U.S. At Walter Reed near Washington, D.C., where I woke up with no sight, and life forever changed. But since then, I've been able to pursue a lot of great things, and I've reestablished a new normal. That's what I like to say.
Well, we're gonna get onto some of those things in a moment.
You're looking at me.
Yeah,
and
no,
you're looking at me to say something.
No.
Well, I have something that I want to say because from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service. But I feel like, is that something, when I try to acknowledge people that have served, because I haven't, is that something that you find frustrating, or do you appreciate it when people acknowledge the fact that you sacrificed for the freedoms that we get to enjoy? Like,
I appreciate you asking that question. I'll try to make it as concise as possible. Like, I think it can sometimes feel, when someone says thank you for your service, like a pre-programmed kind of thing.
Right.
But you guys are having me on the show and asking me questions and giving me the opportunity to share my story. I think more importantly is I try not to get too upset with people, because I don't expect people to understand what it means to serve or what it means to live and experience war, because innocence and freedom is important, and that's kind of what we fight for, I think, so people can do. You just hope people are considerate and respectful, and so it is nice to hear that. I think though, if you want to really learn something, you should, if you don't know a veteran or a service member, is ask them more deeper questions.
Yeah.
If they want to answer those kinds of questions.
Right.
But yeah, there's no right or wrong. I think I'm pretty open-minded personally, but I appreciate your words, and it was an honor to serve.
I think that's the best response I've heard.
Yeah.
And in the sense that it makes me understand.
Yeah.
It feels disingenuous if you don't like get to know you first, right?
Yeah, just
like,
interact a bit more.
Yeah. Understand why you're thanking me.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people don't have any kind of interaction with service members. You know, it's a small percentage of the country that serves, really. I don't know if any of you have close friends that have served in combat or served, but I'm sure with the show and meeting people and just living life, you do run into people. But
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We've had your friend
Chad
Dukes has been on, who was in the military, and you know, there were people in my family and friends of family, but yeah,
absolutely in mine as well.
Yeah.
So you said you were actually in New York, right, when you enlisted?
Yeah, well, I wasn't in New York when I enlisted, but I lived in New York when the towers fell.
Okay.
At 9/11 for anybody that was born afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I'm getting old
scarily.
now.
That was a long time ago.
Crazy to think. Yeah, it's crazy to think.
I'm kind of scared about it, but yeah.
I'm 39. You know, I just turned 39. So, I was 15, I think, when the towers fell. I had been in the city that week. I was in the city running around on Canal Street near Chinatown in Manhattan, just before school was like starting and stuff. And but yeah, I remember it vividly, and it really sparked an interest to want to serve because my family has a legacy serving.
Right.
And so years went by. My father wouldn't let me join because at 17, when I under 18 years old, you can't join without parental consent. But really, he told me, I support you. He was a Vietnam era veteran. He just thought I could do other things. Right. And I agree, but that was something I wanted to experience. And I wanted to understand why we were at war. You know, what was war? And what is it? What does it mean to serve in it? You know, and I thought it would just help me in life, secure some sort of foundation about people and the way people make decisions, leaders, and it would teach me something.
When you did enlist, was that with the full support of your parents at that time? And the reason I ask is, the next question is, obviously things didn't go the way you planned, and so you signed it. I mean, and you lost your sight when you were what, early 20s?
I was 22.
Right. So I guess the question is, were there people who didn't want you to join, and how did they feel about what happened? Because they didn't want you to go through, presumably because something like this could have happened.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I had many people tell me, even my father, that I shouldn't join. I had one of my father's friends said right to my face late in the evening, he said, "You're a fucking idiot if you join the military."
Yeah.
You are an idiot. And I respected all of them. It wasn't so much, we grow up and we choose our paths. I was very aware of that and realized I could pursue other things. And I was doing great. I could easily have gone to college. I think the big thing is that was such a huge event in my life, and you could call it my childhood, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was witnessing the news and the media and everything that was what the leaders were deciding, and I wanted to take care of myself, and I wanted to grow up fast, and so I was already working, and I chose to join on my own accord, even after people. And I did a lot of research and asked a lot of questions and talked to a lot of people, and I wanted to serve in the special operations side of things in the military, unconventional warfare. And but more importantly, I wanted to be an asset, a resource. I wanted to be actually a medical sergeant in the special forces.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to render care, but at the same time, be able to take care of myself in a situation.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of things. And the funny thing is I was the one that needed help,
Right.
In the end.
Yeah.
And my buddies did. They saved my life. And I am very thankful for that. Even though the whole time, even on the ground in Iraq, I remember saying, because we were reminded to wear our ballistic eye protection or our armor, before we go on mission. We have to carry so much equipment and things.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to get shot maybe, or I'm going to lose a leg. But I didn't really, I thought about blindness because of the ballistic, because there's a lot of things that can take your eyesight. And so
yeah,
it's funny. I said to my buddies, I don't think I'd live life, or I'd want to live if I lost my sight.
Right.
And I completely changed my mind after losing my sight.
Well, I think it's. I mean, we're going to go on to talk about things that you've done since then, and much like Chad, you've gone on to do incredible things that, I mean, arguably you may not have done otherwise. People often go through things and then go, "Well, I'm really going to live now." I want to say one more thing though. It's really, as a non-American, it's hard for us, I think, to understand how you feel about things like 9/11, but I can tell you, I remember where I was. I will never forget when that happened.
Yeah.
A lot of people also feel that, but to bring that back to be an American and to being in New York, it's impossible for me to appreciate how that makes you feel, but I'll never forget that day.
I remember kids in my school lost parents.
Right.
I remember the jets screaming overhead and around, roaring, and all day long fire engines and emergency service vehicles were blaring that entire day. So
that's going to change you.
It did change me. Yeah, it changed. So the big thing for me, Rob, is watching people cross themselves and jump from the tower.
Yeah. Hard to watch.
I thought that was so sad.
Yeah.
For people to leap to their death.
Yep.
And so, I wanted to go kick some ass.
Yeah.
To say the least. But you know what? Yep. It's kind of it's funny. Leaders, old men, women, whatever, send young people to fight wars, to die. To fight others that have families. And it's an interesting. War is not a good thing. If anything, we should try our hardest to be diplomatic. In any case.
Agreed.
Having served and having been in that position and being where you are now, how do you feel about like modern tech warfare, drones, like removing the person out of that conflict?
I mean. It's a complex thing. See, I was fascinated with enemy strategy and tactics and war and thinking like the enemy. And so I was an infantryman in the U.S. Army, a rifleman, a ground pounder, a grunt, whatever you want to call it. But I, in military intelligence and collect, these interesting things that your enemy does to gain the upper hand on the battlefield. If there's a sandstorm, they might launch mortars because our radar doesn't work, or these different things, and so using machines to fight a war is no better. It's just I guess you save lives, but I don't know what's going to come of it. Like in the long run, if we continue to go, I think economically, like there's wars being fought all the time. People just don't realize it. Like it's deep, whether it's hacking of infrastructure. And just causing problems is the first part of war. Really attacking a country's economy, but yeah. It's a complex question. I'd have to mull over it a bit more.
Okay.
That's a whole other episode. That's a whole other series. But I think I want to move on. I mean, because that's, frankly, the most harrowing first half of a podcast episode we've ever had.
That's very true.
They're
a little bit. They're usually a lot more shallow.
Right. I know.
So there was a lot of depth there.
There have been 17 intervening years where you have, I think it's fair to say, done more than the average person. And I think, we'd like to talk about them a little bit.
Well, so you went like an example. You recently went on, or not recently, but I read a story about you going on a kayaking trip to Sand Island. And did I get it right?
Yeah, I went to the Apostle Islands, and the specific island I think was Sand Island, up on I'm forgetting the Lake Superior. I think is you can look it up, Google it.
Google
everybody.
It.
But the Apostle Lake, the Apostles. I think Apostle Lakes or Islands. Sorry, and it was. I've done a lot of outdoor adventure and expeditions. This was with an organization called Team River Runner, which takes a lot of veterans. They don't have to be blind. Actually, no one else on that trip was blind. I was the only blind person. But it was an exciting trip. It's more of a long paddle out to an island, so more than 2, 3, 4 miles. Some of them you could do 9, 12-mile paddles. But I've kayaked the entire Grand Canyon, through the Colorado River in my own hard shell. So just like Chad was talking about kayaking, here in Black Canyon Gorge, right?
Yep.
I kayaked through all the rapids of the Grand Canyon on my own, using communication with other people, putting trust in them above each rapid, using a specific type of communication, like the Blue Angels when they fly their jets.
Right.
So you said you're in your own hard shell. You're in your own
river
kayak.
I have to brace, do my combat rolls. I did thousands of rolls, off and onside rolls. I kayaked all over the country on the Salmon River, the Cheat, the Pooter.
I'm just going to say, Steve, that's ridiculous.
I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around. Okay, so
I'm terrified of drowning.
If you go into,
I'm terrified.
There's a video. Google sponsored the trip. So people search 5 blind veterans kayaked the Colorado River on YouTube. You'll see us. And all the pictures that were taken down there for the 360-degree shots for Google Maps or Google whatever they call it. People don't realize, but a lot of if they're still up, the kayakers are blind. Some of them that are kayaking past the camera, but they had a whole team that shot while we were going down.
So you're not only an adventure junkie, but you're also a movie star, is what you're telling me.
So here's the thing, though, right? That for a lot of people would be their crowning glory. They would be like, I'm done. I don't need to do any more adventures.
Right.
I kayaked the entire Grand Canyon.
But that's not where you stop.
Well, I'm going to ask you, what do you consider to be your I don't know, greatest achievement in that respect? If not that.
I think not giving up on life, and being, I talk about strength, resilience, and courage.
Yeah.
The physical and mental strength, this mental fortitude, having resilience and being courageous, and even in times of, where you're fearful of things. I think I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
That gives me the ability to do anything in life.
But it's also, I think it's fair to say that, when you say you didn't give up, you actually went pretty far the other way. And not only didn't give up, went, I'm going to do some ridiculous things now. Like, even if you are fully sighted,
what are some of the
Grand Canyon thing is crazy.
What are some of the things that we're missing?
Yeah,
you did.
Steve, this is your opportunity. Read your resume off. Read your resume.
Well, I just want to say before I do that is none of this would be possible without teamwork, and a lot of times, the people who helped me accomplish these great things probably feel even on a higher level than what I do. So
right.
if you ever converse with the people that have been the leader or the guide, that's
right.
guided me up a 2,000 foot peak, I've climbed, so I've skied, biked, climbed, paddled, sailed. I am preparing to try to sail across the Atlantic to England, driving the boat.
Why would you want to go to that place?
Yeah. England's rubbish.
All the places that you could sail.
Go to Wales. It's beautiful. England, rubbish.
No, but I hear what you're saying. Like, we had Dan O'Musser on recently. Paul Riley, friend of the show. Shout out to Paul. He does a lot of adaptive programs with people, and I think I think that's where you were going. For them, it's almost as much of an achievement to watch you achieve those moments and be able to overcome a fear or overcome an obstacle, and then being there by your side. Like it's almost like they're doing it again in a different way. I don't want to speak for Paul and Dano, but
you're going to.
Well, a little bit.
All right.
Because I do think it's something that, like, obviously there's a passion there to try to help people make sure that they can continue to achieve their goals. So
yeah, absolutely, people want to help people. I think though, people fail to understand that. I mean, almost everything in life is teamwork, and the people that make your shoes, help you in some form or fashion, your car, So, but
none of us do this by ourselves. Absolutely,
we really don't, but it is a remarkable feeling to be part of a team that. A lot of people won't let me walk downstairs. They won't let me, I'll come off an airplane and, there's a great service that exists because of American Disabilities Act. They'll help me to my different gates and help me when I'm traveling alone, around the country. And they want to force me into a wheelchair, and I'm like, I got my legs. I can walk, just let me walk with you,
Right.
And so it's nice to have people who are willing to give you the opportunity to try to do something that maybe, a lot of people wouldn't try because of maybe society, because of the way people are brought up. I don't know, the way people think or fear, So but ski, bike, climb, paddle, all these things, I've climbed 4 of the 7 summits, 4 of the tallest peaks on the 7 continents. I've kayaked a lot of whitewater across the country. I've ridden across the continent with tandem bikes. Like I've ridden from Canada, Ottawa, Canada, to Washington, D.C. I've raced in the Paralympics. I skied for the Paralympics team. My highest, I didn't go to the Paralympic Games, but I was in nationals and worlds level events. I raced tandems in the velodrome and on road time trials, and medaled. Podiumed at a few events, national events, but really all of it was the reason. I've always been an athletic person, but when you lose something like your eyes and you feel like you want to shelter and stay home, become stagnant. I felt that trying to push myself to pursue the things I've always wanted to do and the things I always loved doing, because I never skied and I never raced bikes, I never climbed mountains, and I never kayaked before I lost my sight. I learned it all as a blind person. And so all of it helped me reestablish a new normal, is how I put it. And when you, and I'll give you an example. When you wake up and you're afraid of the world and you don't know how to operate as a blind person, but you go through some training, you soon realize, okay, I can stay home, or I can go do things with people and give people some trust or a chance.
Right.
And also trust yourself and be independent. But you have to pack your bags. You have to get on a plane.
Right.
You have to go and meet people and be in places that are unfamiliar to you. So you learn how to live life. Really is what I'm trying to say. You just relearn how to live life. That's all.
I want to ask, though, to talk about something you mentioned. Can people help too much? You talked about the airports and how they want you to do things because they perceive that you might want this, but can people be too helpful?
It's a great question. Yes. I mean, some people don't know how to help. Some people are they want to do everything for you and not allow you to do anything. I think it is a very personal thing, and people, just like in all of our lives, we're at, on our journey.
Yeah.
We either have become more independent or less independent, or need someone in our life or need help.
Yeah.
I tend to be very, very vocal, and try to clearly communicate who I am, and I just demonstrate it just by being me.
Yeah.
But I don't speak for everybody, and I think it's just best to ask a person. That's all you got to do.
Right.
It's so easy, but people get like deer in headlights, in front of somebody that has a disability. Or
I wonder if people are concerned about asking or saying the wrong thing. I don't want to offend you, so I did this or I don't do that.
Yes.
What is the approach? You just say, hey, can I offer you any assistance? And if so, what do you need?
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to always get the best response. Maybe someone's grumpy or tired, you know. I mean,
or hangry, like Dennis.
You're pointing at me.
Yeah.
Because I am hangry.
Yeah.
I'm sitting over here. Have you ever? Has that ever been you? Have you ever been grumpy when somebody's offered to help and been like, hey, you know, back off, leave me the F alone.
Yeah, I don't need a wheelchair, which is a legitimate, you know.
I usually do the 3 strikes rule.
Yeah.
I'm pretty patient because of the experiences I've been through. You know, carrying a weapon system amongst civilians in a foreign land, and you know, trying to keep yourself disciplined is a huge thing in your 20s. So I think I put those kinds of tactics and thought strategies and thought process to mind whenever I'm dealing with people. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. People will 3 times tell me sit in a wheelchair when I tell them I'm not going to, I'm walking with you. And that's when I become a soldier again.
Right. Yeah. So the first time you're like, I don't need a wheelchair. Second time you're like, no, I'm fine. Third time, I'm not getting in the damn wheelchair. Yeah.
Well, so
save the wheelchair for someone that needs it, really.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like you said earlier. Yeah. You go, I can walk.
My legs work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Steve, we're neighbors. I live, like 2-3 streets away from you.
Yeah.
What brought you to Montrose? How did you get here?
You know, I was traveling to Colorado. I've been all over the country my entire life. The only state I've never been to is Alaska. I've been to every other state. And I traveled here quite a bit after I lost my sight to train for high elevation climbs for expeditions in different parts of the world. So I'd come here and train, on different mountains. I've climbed a lot of the 14,000-foot peaks. And so Montrose, just like Chad described when you guys, I was ice climbing in Uray, and I'd passed through Montrose, but I didn't really do much in Montrose. I was doing stuff all around Montrose. I call this Montrose a strategic foothold. You can basically launch to all these great things, whether they're the ski resort towns or the Black Canyons or Moab and the different, there's 3 huge national parks. 4 maybe, in the area. So
we don't technically advocate for Utah on this podcast, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We'll bleep that out. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
That up. No, but yeah, there's so many cool things in this area, and so I was thinking of moving out west. I grew up in 5 states. I was born in Illinois, but so I'm a flatlander really too, and
Dennis is too.
Yeah, Florida, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And so
wow, he's done his research. He knows things.
Don't tell him, Steve. It's fine.
But yeah, no, I fell in love with the area because of that, the strategic foothold concept I just explained, and because of a lot of veterans I met and other great friends I made in the area. There's a lot of great people who want some space, but love the beauty of this part of the Colorado.
So when did you get here? Did we establish how long you've actually been?
I've been living here physically since 2017.
Okay.
And
before that, it was spiritually.
Right? Spiritually.
So how that works.
Emotionally.
In my mind. And, I mean, all these climbs and things I go on, I joke with people and they're just telling me that they hire all these people. They're like, yeah, these are Sherpa, and yeah, we're actually climbing a mountain in the Himalayas, but you're really in Colorado. You didn't go anywhere.
Right. It's funny, but it's mean.
It is mean. It is mean.
You're on a big river, and they're throwing a pail of
bucket full of water on your face.
So I want to.
Rob is. It's taking everything that Rob can do to not jump on the bandwagon.
I definitely do.
I love Rob too.
I definitely. My brain is going, say this, and my other part of my brain is going, shut up for once.
I tell you, I love strategic foothold. It sounds so much cooler than stay here, play any.
Hey, don't rag on the city, man.
I'm not. Hey, listen.
You made a
never,
faux pas there.
No, I didn't, because I never gave.
Let's
my
move on before you
endorsement
get
to
us
that.
into trouble.
No, I like it. I'm giving credit where credit's due.
Steve, I got a couple of questions that are kind of like, they're going to be quick fire.
Sure. Yes.
How do you choose your clothes in the morning?
I just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. No,
Really? No, but I mean,
I use technology. Well, I mean, I know what I purchase things. You know, I like earth tones and stuff like that, so I buy a lot of that. So it's easy to match.
So why did you wear a clown suit today?
You told me to put it on.
You just did that to set that up for yourself.
To do this.
I actually didn't set that up.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
That just came to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many everyday things that I wanna know, like how that.
Well, you adopt you're pretty tech savvy.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to your podcast. I look at some of the posts that you do on your website.
Yeah.
And
I am.
So if it seems like if there's an opportunity to help yourself out with technology, you take advantage of it.
Yeah, I grew up with technology. I thought I was going to be an engineer or a computer programmer. If you come to my house, you'll see.
Can you give us a few examples, if you don't mind?
Well, he's wearing an Apple Watch right now.
Of technology, then how it helps you specifically in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, I use a screen reader. Screen readers have been around since the 80s. I used them when I was sighted, just to like type stupid shit into a computer and then have it read it back to you.
Right.
So a screen reader has evolved and become even integrated into touch screen devices. Actually, before I went to Iraq, I had the very first iPhone. That phone was not accessible to the blind. Mm-hmm. I lost my sight in 2008, and then 2 years later, if I'm not mistaken, 2010, the iPhone 3GS came out, and Apple has a screen reader called VoiceOver, and so that just changed everything for blind people. Almost everybody that's blind uses an iPhone because of that. You can use other devices, but Apple has done a really good job of integrating it into everything that they have. So you can turn it on and you're going.
And does Siri and that kind of thing, is that helpful to you as well, to be able to ask technology to do things for you?
Sure, Siri is. I would say if you're not very tech savvy, you would use a personal assistant, kind of like a AI, like something like that, and that's gonna But definitely. A screen reader allows me to, pay my bills. I can do Excel spreadsheets. I can, send emails. I can text. I can do anything that a sighted person can do as long as developers tag their elements properly and develop their technology and software properly.
Well, that's a great point, and I think I wanted to ask a follow-up is what can we do as a community, like in Montrose, for example? what are some things that you think would make your life easier, or where you have or have not been considered as a blind person?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of great things, and it's universal access is what people should think.
Right.
Accessibility is not. When you make something better for a blind person or a deaf person, or someone that's an amputee, you're improving it for everybody.
Right.
I always tell people blindness, like my instant loss of sight, was an acceleration of age. If you live to a very old age, you're going to feel things that I'm feeling already. Right. And so, but people by that point, they haven't given any consideration or thought really. Maybe they have. I don't want to generalize. But I mean, it's funny because we don't develop things sometimes. I mean, more and more things have become accessible. But yes, I think the city, it'd be great. Sidewalks in some places, sidewalks all the way to the airport. I mean, stop lights, beacons for crossing the street, tactile, bump stops and things like in the ground that you can feel. I mean, there's all kinds of things. It's money. People are not going to be happy probably spending that kind of money on. But I mean, overall, it's going to, and maybe people don't want to attract more people to Montrose. Right? I don't. But I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, there's all kinds of great things that the city can do. I mean, put things in the airport to make it a little easier for me to navigate on my own, so I don't have to bother the TSA people. They love me. People are.
They're usually quite grumpy people too, the TSA, right? So, Not in Montrose, of course. We have great ones.
I love all the TSA people. Just to put that out there, all of you are amazing.
They're so good. They're so good to me. You know, I mean, most people I meet, I test people. I'll get in a taxi cab and I have a $50 bill, and I'll go, "Here's $10." You know, and I'll see.
That's amazing.
I'll see.
That's kind of sinister on your part. Do you get ripped off then? And what do you do if they go, okay, thanks very much? You go,
I'll be honest, I only tried it twice.
yeah. And what happened?
And both times they gave back to me. They said that. So it's quite remarkable. You know, I mean, I guess it depends on people's perspectives and how negative or optimistic or pessimistic they are.
What would you do? What would you do if they were like, sweet, yep, nice.
I'll give you $100 bill if you give me that back.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Yeah. They were like, no, I'll keep the 10. Thanks.
Keep the 10.
Oh man,
I can't even imagine.
They're sitting in a seat. I'm behind them. So
right.
I got to be careful.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to touch on this part though before we leave. It's cool, but crazy to think the amount of trust that you have to have in other people. And how does that, like, how do you adopt that? How did you adopt that? Because that's got to be one of the hardest parts.
It's as simple as I want to do things.
You want to do things.
You know, everybody puts trust in the pilot that flies the plane that gets you somewhere, or a taxi or Uber or whatever. You know, you're putting trust in all kinds of people all the time. But right. I definitely, I mean, so I understand already how to trust people. But it is interesting when you can't. But, you know, I sense the world I'm very receptive with, you know, using my ears and listening to people. And, you know, if they're quiet and they start acting strange, I mean, I know immediately, you know, that there's something sinister or nefarious going on or weird, you know, they're just being weird, you know. But yeah, it's a lot of just paying it, you know, the military, it's funny, the military and many other things in my life and just everything I've pursued have prepared me for interacting with people and being out in the world. And, you know, I set out to be, you know, resourceful and skilled and ultimately to take care of myself. And I still value all of that. And I just do it as a blind person. That's really all it is. I mean, and I want to do things. If I don't ask, if I don't go out and live my life and try to accomplish things, then I don't feel like I'm living. So I tell people all the time, you know, moving is living. You know, I stare into a still, dark world, and it's contagious. It makes you fearful of moving, fearful of going somewhere, and fearful of getting out. And I've tried to break that feeling, you know, ever since the beginning when I first woke up. And it's not an easy thing, but there's a lot of other people like me. I could give you 100 other blind people that do similar things to me, you know, that are veterans. So, but I appreciate, you know, this opportunity to voice my story and to tell people about what it is to be blind. And
we appreciate you coming on here and
lucky to have you.
Sharing that.
Lucky to have you in the community.
Yeah,
glad to have you here.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm sure you hear this all the time. And whether it's genuine all the time or not, but you know, it's inspirational to have what for most people is a horrific disability. And I know that you don't perceive it that way necessarily, but then to go on and do things that people are also terrified of. Like most people do not kayak the Grand Canyon. Most people do not climb mountains. And I think I would like to think that some people watching this might go, that sounds like something I would like to do. And if Steve has done it with that disability, you know, maybe you can inspire people too. Not Dennis. You won't inspire Dennis to do anything.
I meant it was great to have Steve in the neighborhood with somebody that's got an actual sense of humor. Like,
yeah, it's been funny having you here. I'd like that you and I have bantered a lot, and Dennis is I'm learning stuff, I assume, over there.
What? Because I haven't said as much?
Well, just you're generally not as funny. I did explain to Steve previously that I am the handsome, funny one out of the two of us.
Well, he smelled that wasn't the truth from the get-go.
He smelled something all right.
I mean, he did come in here and say like the aroma was off.
Yeah.
Or was that you saying that?
I think we both agreed generally that there was a funk in here when we walked in.
It's okay. Steve, tell him who your tell him who your favorite is.
Hey,
it's okay.
Don't put Steve in that position, okay?
Why? Because you're worried about what the truth.
I'm not worried about it. I'm worried for you. This is the hangry part of him.
Yeah.
He wants something back. He wants you to say something nice to him because he's feeling
some Baskin.
Yeah, you want Baskin Robbins, don't you? Steve Baskin Robbins.
I mean, you're going to tempt a fat kid with ice cream? It's not really. That's like an old joke. It doesn't really work that way.
Don't I have some like pretzel pieces or something I can throw at you?
So what are some of the next big things for you? What are you looking forward to? And we're right around the new year.
Sure.
So what is a New Year's resolution or a New Year's plan look like for you?
Man, I have a podcast I'm bad about. I have my own audio production company, and I do work. So I'm trying to improve my company and expand contract work and recording musicians and doing audio out of my home studio. And I may build a commercial studio, so that's part of my life this year. I have a foundation that I run, a small nonprofit, and I'm trying to build that up and continue with different programs. I am continuing with my fitness, but on the adventure, like horizon.
Yeah, come on, Steve, make us all feel bad about the stuff you're going to do this year.
No.
Yeah, the list is already. Well, first, hold on, back up, because you missed huge opportunities. So your website, and the podcast is where?
SteveBaskinRobbins.com.
Shut up, Rob.
Oh.
It's either stevebaskis.com or Baskis, and Baskis is B as in Bravo, ASKIS. But and you can read about me there, contact me. I write a blog. I try to be good at these things, but and my podcast is Baskis 360. I was shooting shots with a 360-degree camera, so that's why I called it Baskis 360. Yeah. Be 360 degrees aware. That was but I don't often explain that, so people are like, "Oh, he's self-centered," But
and what about the foundation?
The foundation is Blind Endeavors Foundation.
Okay,
and we try to get a lot of veterans out moving, moving is living is the motto, and we want to challenge and inspire people to live life, and so a lot of our programs push people to the limit, and try to get them out. So some of the veterans come out. We did a Tough Mudder this year, a 10+ mile Tough Mudder.
Oh wow!
With 6 blind veterans in Fort Carson, and it was very successful. And so we look for veterans that want to do those kinds of things that are blind or low vision. And finally, I've been working the past few years on a sailing project with a friend out of Newport, Rhode Island. And I might have mentioned it already. I can't recall now.
I don't know which version of this podcast.
I'm trying to cross the Atlantic.
Well,
on a sailboat, and I would be the helmsman. It would be with a sighted team, but we've been developing technology. There's a gentleman that works for Starlink that's been helping build software and hardware that taps into the computer system that would give me haptic feedback, vibrations, as well as verbal tones and things in my ear, so that I could drive the boat around obstacles and through the ocean to our destination. A lot of people, when they're driving in the middle of the night on the ocean, it's already hard too. So it's not too weird for a blind person. But that's those are a few of many things I want to do, and
just a few. Just a few.
There's not enough time.
Rob, what are your big plans for Let's follow you
this
up.
This isn't about me.
You don't think your list rivals?
No, I think the people want to hear from Steve.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
I think that they know that your list is like, feed cat, go to bed,
you said
rinse, repeat.
You guys said something earlier, like, I almost lost my life, and I'm trying to live my life to the fullest.
Yeah,
is really all I'm doing.
I mean, I think that's good advice generally, right?
Yeah.
I think we live in a beautiful place. We can do these amazing things.
Well, living is moving, or moving is living.
Either way. Yeah.
It feels like a McConaugheyism.
Dennis has been sat down all day. How many beers did you have?
How many beers did I have? Not enough.
No, you do. If you do it in a McConaughey,
go
on, try it. You're from, you spent some time in Texas.
I spent some
time.
Grew
up there. Yeah. Go on, give us your best McConaughey.
I feel like, all right. Moving is living and living is moving, y'all.
That's ridiculously bad. Can you do a better impersonation?
You should
call
try.
us on
970-316-3162.
Please leave voicemails doing your best and worst Matthew McConaughey impressions.
That would be amazing.
We'll give a prize.
I'll play them all day long.
Maybe we'll give this jar of weed.
It's not weed.
Don't tell them that. We'll give them this jar of, it's called the cat's meow.
You just realized that probably made it so that we can't put it on YouTube.
Nah,
because you used that 4-letter word.
We'll beep it out. We need to learn how to beep stuff out too, so I can say whatever I want anytime.
We can beep it out.
We'll beep it out then.
I don't want to beep it out.
All right.
That puts work on me. And I'm already hangry.
And we've already done this 3 times.
Steve, I can't thank you enough for being here, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come join us on the Wheelie Nice Couch in the Clear Network studio.
Yes, Clear Networks. When, I don't know, what's the tagline? When you want really good internet, go with Clear Networks.
Yeah.
Right?
When you need good speed.
Yeah.
When you need the need for speed.
Right. Internet speed.
Yeah, Clear Networks.
I really like the decor in here.
Yeah.
It looks. It's a great.
We've put a lot of effort in this, Steve.
I'm glad you noticed.
I'm glad you noticed. So thanks for appreciating.
Yeah, that was awfully kind of you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for. He's like, I'm out. I put my glasses on.
Sunglasses.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It was great getting to know you, and I hope that we'll get a chance to get to know you even more. And like I said, we're neighbors, so
Yeah, if you need a cup of sugar or whatever.
Yeah,
that was,
just come knock on the door.
I appreciate it. No, thank you guys so much for having me on.
This has been great. Thanks, Steve.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. WKRP Montrose. Have a good night.